Greetings. We would be presenting on software methodologies. Before we proceed, I would like us to imagine a scenario of a mother and her daughter making dinner together. So the mother adds salt to the soup but does not inform her daughter. So the daughter goes ahead to add salt for a second time for some reason. And now the soup is too salty and hence it is ruined. This is what happens when there's no clear plan or communication in software development. A methodology prevents this from happening by defining the rules, timing, and steps so that the salt is added just once and at the right time. So let's go back and define what a methodology is. It is simply a structured way of planning, building, testing, and delivering software. We could think of it as a recipe when cooking. It tells you what steps to take, in what order, and who is responsible for each part. Without it, we could risk wasting time, resources, and ending up with messy results. Why do software methodologies even matter? Well, how we build software is just as important as the software that we build. And methodologies help give us a sense of direction, which is like setting out a clear plan so that everyone knows their role and timeline. Just like the mother telling her daughter, you handle the veggies, chop the veggies while I'll handle the seasoning. It also helps with scalability so that even if the project grows, we will still be able to run things smoothly because everything has been planned out already. A good methodology helps us to ensure efficiency, meaning that no time is wasted or no steps are repeated, right? And it encourages collaboration as well, ensuring that everyone works together. Methodologies also help with adaptability, helping us to be able to respond quickly to changes, just like adjusting a recipe when you find a missing ingredient. And it helps with predictability as well, which allows for us to be able to track the progress of our project and um, let us meet deadlines. Let's look at quality and risk control. We, with a good methodology in place, we can easily catch mistakes early, like maybe noticing that the soup is too salty before serving it. And then we are able to save cost. We can save money and avoid waste by putting all of these things in place. And then finally, this helps us to be able to focus on the customer with a good software methodology in place. We know that we have to get feedback from the customer to ensure that what we are building is exactly what they want. My group member will continue from here.
Okay, I'm taking one for the next slide. So before you pick a software methodology, it's important to understand the matter in the first place, and they also shape how we build softwares and not just how we build. So starting, we have direction. So a good methodology gives us a clear roadmap, and with that, everyone knows the plan, the timing, and their roles. Efficiency. So it helps work smarter, optimizing resources and reducing waste efforts, and also quality. Quality by building and in and testing and reviewing from the start, we ensure more reliable products, faster, faster last minute surprises, and also with risk management. So let us spot problems earlier before they go into bigger problems. Next slide. Okay, so Talking about the waterfall model, so basically it's a sequential linear process of software development. And that each phase must be completed and approved before moving on to the next. And under phases, we have requirements. That's where we collect, documenting all that's needed and design. We plan the system architecture and details. We have implementation. That's where we write and integrate the code. And we have verification. That's to test to confirm if the code is running and everything is okay. And you have the last phase. You have the maintenance phase. That's to update and fix bugs and also improve anything that's needed to improve. I'll hand over to my colleague to take up. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll be taking the Agile revolution. Before Agile, most company use the waterfall, which is a linear approach where requirement, design, implementation, and testing were done sequentially. But the problem with it was that changes were costly and it was slow to implement. So we have the core principles of the Agile revolution. The first one is individual and interactions over process and tools. So people and communication matter most more than rigid rules. And two, working software. You have to ensure that you deliver something usable quickly, not just reports. And three, customer collaboration. Work with customers continuously, not just at the start and end of the project. And the last one is responding to change. So if users need change during the mid of the project, you have to make sure you adjust quickly. And we have the key agile practices for adaptability. We have iter- iterative development. Projects are broken into small and manageable iteration. Then we have the customer collaboration, and continuous feedback ensures the product evolves with users' need. And adaptability, you have to make sure that when a customer needs change during mid projects, you are able to adapt. And self-organizing team. It helps to foster autonomy and accountability within development teams. I'll hand over to the next person to continue.
I'll be talking about the Scrum framework. So, the Scrum framework is one of the most popular agile methods which is used in modern project management. And it is designed for managing complex projects by breaking the projects into small parts or manageable parts called sprints. And its focuses on three key principles, which is transparency, inspection, and adaptation. And these principles ensure that the teams can track progress and they can also review their work and then they can also adjust quickly. So there are three main roles in the Scrum framework, and the first one is the product owner. The product owner is the one who will decide what needs to be built. We also have the Scrum Master, and he is the one who will ensure that the process will run smoothly, and he will also try and remove any obstacles. And then the last is the development team. They are the ones who actually build the projects. So we have artifacts. So there are three main tools that are used in the Scrum framework. The first one is the product backlog. And the product backlog is a complete list of everything that needs to be done. And we also have the sprint backlog. And the sprint backlog contains the tasks for the current sprint. So as I said earlier, the sprint is the complex project which has been broken into a small manageable part. So the last artifact or tool is the increment guide development process, or let me just say the increment. So that is the working products produced at the end of each sprint. Yeah, and we also have events. So in Scrum, they organize regular, or it includes regular events. The first event is the sprint planning. So this is where the team will decide what to work on next. And then the next event that happens in Scrum framework is the daily Scrum. So that's a quick meeting to align the team with to align the progress to see if everything is being done according to plan. And the next one is the sprint review. That is where they demonstrate the work that they finished within a particular sprint. And the the last one is sprint retrospective. So the sprint retrospective is where the team reflects and improve themselves for the next sprint. So what are the benefits of this Scrum framework? So Scrum framework enhances team communication. It also delivers value frequently and it improves responsiveness to change. So yeah, that's all about Scrum framework. I'll hand over to my next colleague to continue.
Okay, so I'll be taking the Kanban power. So with the visual flow understanding Kanban power, we'll be talking about Kanban visual workflow for efficiency. One will ask, what is Kanban? Kanban is an agile methodology created by Toyota in the 1940s to improve efficiency. It focuses on visualizing work, limiting work in progress, and reducing and reducing waste. Today, it is widely used in IT, software, and marketing, and business. So, we talk about the core principles. In the core principles, we have visual workflow. So, with the visual workflow, this shows a map out of each stage of the development. Then we talk about the WIP. Kanban limits work in progress, which is the WIP to avoid overload. Then we talk about manage flow. Kanban manages flow to spot bottlenecks, and we'll be talking about the continuous improvement. So through this, it is able Kanban improves continuously through small changes. Yeah, and Kanban board. So we're talking about this Kanban board. So this Kanban board shows task status with columns like backlog, in progress, testing, and done. And it can be physical, that is sticky notes, or digital, which is the Trello or the Jira. One may say, okay, so we'll be talking about benefits. So with the benefits of Kanban, it improves transparency, efficiency, flexibility, predictability, and customer value. Then they'll be having these challenges. This is they may not suit strict deadline projects and setting proper work in progress limits. And another one is it needs discipline. And we're talking about the applications of Kanban. Kanban is used in software development, and it is also used in personal productivity. Kanban is also used in marketing, IT support, and manufacturing. Okay, so I'll hand over to the next person. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Emmanuel, and I'll be taking DevOps beyond development, a DevOps culture shift. So DevOps today is not just about tools or processes, right? It's really a cultural shift that unifies development and operations. The goal is to shorten the software development lifecycle and deliver high quality software more continuously. It's often shown as an infinity loop, like as you can see there, that represents the ongoing cycle of planning and coding, building and testing, releasing and deploying, and finally operating and monitoring. What makes DevOps powerful are the practices built around it. things like continuous integration, which developers frequently merge code changes into a central repository. And there's also continuous delivery CD that automates processes to ensure software can be released to production at any time. And then there's also automation, which automates processes across the entire software delivery pipeline. And just as important are collaboration between teams and feedback loops from operations back into development, which help drive continuous improvements. Next slide. Yeah, so there are hybrid models in emerging trends. That's you blend the best practices so you can get the advantages from both sides. So alongside DevOps, we are also seeing organizations move towards hybrid models that combine different approaches to suit their specific needs. For example, there's Kanban, which mixes Scrum structured iterative cycles with Kanban's visual flow and limits, giving teams flexibility and structure. There's also disciplined agile or DA, which acts as a decision framework that helps teams choose the right practices depending on their situation rather than following a single rigid method. Yeah. So at larger scales, many enterprises use SAFe, that's a skilled agile framework, to coordinate multiple agile teams working together on big initiatives. And a fast growing trend in low code and no code platforms, which allow rapid development with minimal coding, making it easier to integrate solutions quickly. What all of this shows is that software development is no longer about sticking to a single methodology. It's about blending best practices, adapting to changing needs, and creating a culture of speed, quality, and collaboration. DevOps and hybrid models together present the way forward, enabling organizations to innovate faster and stay competitive in today's digital world. Yeah, I'll hand over to the next person.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Darwin Kujepoko, and I'll be taking you through the rest of the slides. So you heard everything from my group members. That's the various type of methodologies that we have available to us, and the reasons why we are implementing these methodologies. So yeah, probably wondering, okay, I know of the methodologies, but how do I know the right one to pick for my project? So you have to treat methodologies in this way. That's getting the right tool for the right work. And you have to know that we don't have a single methodology that actually fix all the problems that we have in the dev process. So you look at how your project is being structured and get a particular methodology that actually aligns well with the structure of a project. So with this, we consider factors like your project scope, your requirement stability, your team size and experience we have in there, the customer involvement and also the risk tolerance. With the project scope, that's how your objectives are. So if you know what you want right from day one, just know that the waterfall model actually fits well with the projects that you're working on. But with one that keeps changing over and over a period of time, the Agile or the Scrum one fits well with that. Then with the requirement stability, of course, the client can come to you and say, "Oh, I want this particular. I know what I want, but within just a few days and just in a few weeks, the customer just keeps implementing changes over and over again. So you have to know that with that one, just know that the waterfall model, which deals with fixed and predictable objectives, is not the right choice for you. So you go for one that's able to handle those uncertainties and changes very well, which is the agile one. And for the team size, when you have a smaller team, which is co-located, and let's go for breaks and have some coffee breaks go for breaks and have some cafe breaks. So that the agile methodology works really well with that one. But for large and distributed teams where we have different sections or different teams from different zones handle several different parts of the softwares. For that, you have to get a more structured approach to that. So the hybrid models comes in at that place. Then with the customer involvement, so we have cases where a client comes to you and tells you, I want a software that does this particular thing, and just wait for the results. Yes, and just wait for the results. With that one, the waterfall models work really well because the information for the customer is very limited. But for one where the customer usually comes to you and asks you for several changes, wants to see the live demo and everything, the Agile one, the Agile methodology works well with that. And for the risk tolerance, cases where we have low risk tolerance, waterfall upfront planning, upfront planning works really well with that. And for the adaptive ones, that's you have to go for the agile form of incremental feedback. So the key takeaway from this point is just evaluate these factors carefully to make an informed decision that aligns with your objectives and maximizes your project success. So just as I said, look at how your project is being structured. Considering these factors as I mentioned earlier, your project scope, stability of your requirements, your team size, and all and the others, and get a particular methodology that fits well and handles your project structure really well. So that's it for choosing your path or getting the right methodology for your project. Then the next part we are going to talk about is the common challenge that arises from your dev process and how you can overcome them. So with this, even if you get the perfect methodology for your project, it gets one that really fits well. There is bound to be changes. Certain stuff might go wrong. So all you have to do as a developer, is to address them very proactively. And by so doing, you're able to get a smoother dev process and also get better outcomes in there. So the common challenges that we have, we will start with the resistance to change, and that's mostly on the part of the developers, probably within your team. So yes, we as developers, it's very hard to implement changes because when we go by a certain form of methodology, that we know that like it worked really well within with our previous projects. We just go for stick with that one, then just use that one over and over in our work. So with this, what you have to do is don't force the change on the developers. Changes should be handled bit by bit, so small changes within a particular period of time. And you have to also provide incentives for the developers that actually engagement themselves in not custom. Like you have to get a culture, get a culture of a continuous learning, and also provide incentives for developers that adapt to those continuous learning processes. So by so doing, your developers we have in the team will be able to adapt to certain changes and implement different forms of methodologies that they use in or approaches that they use in their problem solving process. And also, you have the lack of communication. Also poses a huge stress in the dev process. And in these cases, the clients don't even know the stage you are in in the apps development, and you don't even know what the clients really want. So for this problem, what we also do as a developer is to organize or implement regular standards and also provide clearly defined documentations. This mostly comes from the client's storytelling of the problem that is facing and also implement certain collaborative tools that we have available to us.
Then the problem with the school cube, that's when you add extra stuff beyond your scope that you define. So with that, you add certain features that are not really the main focus of the application.
And by the time you realize a project that is supposed to take 3 months to complete, you'll be within your 8 months. As that means you have exceeded the deadline that you set for your own self. So with this, you have to establish clear scope boundaries and utilize backlog grooming in agile methodologies. This when you actually say no to those kind of changes. And for the waterfall models, if you're implementing that one, you have to go by straight change control processes. Yes, you have to go by straight change control processes. Then you have the technical debts. The technical debts are the cases where the developers or in your team might say, "Oh, we will fix this later. We will fix this later." But by the time the deadline gets closer, they are trying to look for shortcuts to get the application ready before that deadline. To just come up with application that is very baggy and unreliable. So what you have to do here is you have to treat code quality as a feature. So you have to prioritize refactoring and you have to allocate dedicated time to check for your code quality improvements over the iterations that we have in the software development process. So by considering all these challenges and implementing the solutions as stated very, very well, you're able to come up with softwares or business solutions that are very reliable, robust, and satisfy the needs of your clients. So thank you very much. This is the end of our discussion on software development methodology. Thank you very much for your time. Bye.